Have you ever finished a day's work and thought, did I do anything meaningful today? What if large portions of the workforce are engaged in jobs that add no real value to society? David Graeber calls these bullshit jobs, jobs that are so completely pointless, unnecessary, or pernicious that even the employer cannot justify their existence. People in these roles often feel pressured to act as though their work matters, even when they believe otherwise. But why does this matter? Work is central to both our economic systems and personal identities. As automation and flexible work reshape industries, we need to ask, are bullshit jobs inevitable or can we eliminate them? In this video, explore what bullshit jobs are and why they exist, arguments for why they're unavoidable, arguments for how they could be removed. Let's begin.
To understand whether bullshit jobs are inevitable, we need to look first at how the idea of work has evolved across time and culture. In pre-industrial societies, work was rooted in direct survival. People hunted, farmed, built and made, producing tangible outputs for themselves and their communities. As Agile points out, labour in these societies was intrinsically linked to visible needs and outcomes. A farmer could see the result of their effort in the harvest, a blacksmith in the tools he forged. Then came the Industrial Revolution, a systemic shift in how societies worked. Mechanization drove people from rural economies into cities, where factories began to dominate. This era brought enormous increases in productivity, but also a new kind of labor alienation. Braverman in 1974 argued that as work became more fragmented and specialized, workers lost control over the process and purpose of their labor. Instead of creating a product from start to finish, individuals performed repetitive tasks, often without understanding the larger picture. In the post-industrial period, work underwent another transformation. Bell describes this as the emergence of the knowledge economy, a shift from manufacturing to services, administration, and information processing. While this allowed for more white-collar employment, it also coincided with the growing number of jobs that, on closer inspection, contribute little to actual productivity or societal well-being. This is the context in which anthropologist David Graeber introduced his now famous concept of bullshit jobs. According to Graeber, a bullshit job is so completely pointless, unnecessary, or pernicious that even the employee cannot justify its existence. What distinguishes these roles isn't just a lack of impact, but the fact that the people doing them know they're meaningless, yet feel compelled to act as if they matter. Graeber characterizes bullshit jobs into 5 main types. Flunkies, whose primary role is to serve as status markers. Employees who exist to make someone else appear more important. This could be an executive assistant in an office where nothing happens, or a receptionist hired mostly for appearances. Goons, whose roles arise from competitive dynamics rather than social need, such as lobbyists, PR specialists, or corporate lawyers engage in arms race behavior between firms. Duct tapers, who solve problems that shouldn't exist in the first place, like IT support constantly patching broken systems instead of fixing them properly, or admin workers managing absurd bureaucratic procedures. Box tickers, whose roles give the illusion of meaningful progress, such as filling out endless reports or evaluations that no one reads, simply to meet compliance requirements. And lastly, taskmasters, who manage people who don't actually require management, adding layers of oversight to justify organizational hierarchies. These categories illustrate the scope and variety of bullshit jobs across sectors, from corporate to public institutions, and despite their diversity, what they have in common is this: they persist not because they are needed, but because of how our systems are designed. To understand that persistence, we can turn to sociological theories. From a Marxist perspective, work should be meaningful. It should allow individuals to express themselves and contribute to collective progress. Bullshit jobs, by contrast, are a form of alienation. People are not only separated from the product of their labour, but from the sense of purpose that work should ideally bring. From a Weberian viewpoint, bureaucracy is key. Max Weber warned that as organizations grow, they generate internal structures that exist to sustain themselves, often regardless of their practical necessity. Bureaucracies don't just respond to needs, they manufacture them, creating new roles to perpetuate hierarchy and control. These theoretical perspectives suggest that bullshit jobs are not accidental, they're embedded within broader economic and institutional logics. Importantly, these jobs aren't the result of laziness or individual failure. Most people in bullshit jobs want to do something meaningful. They just find themselves trapped in systems that prioritize appearance, complexity, or internal validation over genuine utility. So, are bullshit jobs inevitable? If you see them as historical accident, a consequence of post-industrial capitalism, bureaucratic expansion, and technological half-measures, then the answer is no. They are not inevitable. They are a feature of specific systems and choices, and what has been made by systems can be unmade.
Jobs exist for several reasons, and one of the biggest is capitalism. Businesses often prioritize employment stability over efficiency because it maintains consumer confidence and prevents political backlash. Companies fear instability, so they create jobs even if they aren't necessary. Dugan explains that this pressure leads to businesses to keep people employed even if their roles don't add much value. Reducing the workforce is politically difficult, especially in countries like the UK where high unemployment is seen as a market failure. Instead of laying people off, businesses engage in job padding, creating positions that exist for stability rather than productivity. This leads to a rise in bullshit jobs. A clear example is middle management. Despite technological advancements, corporations and public services like NHS England continue to expand their management teams. The NHS spends around £17 billion on administrative roles, many of which don't contribute directly to patient care. This shows how bureaucracy sustains bullshit jobs. Hierarchies expand as managers justify their own positions rather than streamline operations. The graph on screen shows the net effect of AI on job creation and displacement. As we can see, the net effect is zero, meaning there are as many bullshit jobs being created as there are bullshit jobs being displaced. This speaks to the inevitability of bullshit jobs. These factors suggest that bullshit jobs are deeply embedded in our economic and bureaucratic structures, but does that mean they are inevitable?
There are strong arguments that bullshit jobs can be avoided, especially with technological and social changes. One major factor is automation. As AI improves, jobs that don't contribute meaningfully are being phased out. For example, AI chatbots are replacing call centre workers, and administrative roles in finance and manufacturing are becoming automated. When tasks like data entry and processing can be done by machines, there's no need for human oversight. Beyond automation, structural reforms could also help reduce bullshit jobs. A shorter work week is one solution. In Iceland, for example, a 4-day work week pilot program showed that employees were more productive and had a better work-life balance. If work hours are reduced, companies may focus more on meaningful tasks rather than creating unnecessary roles just to fill time. Another proposal is universal basic income. If people have financial security without needing a job, they may be less likely to take on pointless roles. Trials in Finland and the Netherlands have shown positive results, suggesting that a UBI could reduce the demand for unnecessary jobs. Some countries are already taking steps to eliminate bureaucratic inefficiencies. Denmark, for example, has been cutting down on unnecessary administration in both the public and private sectors, improving efficiency and reducing redundant positions. Beyond policies, a cultural shift is also needed. Right now, success is often measured by job status, salary, and long hours. This pushes people into pointless jobs just to appear productive. If societies prioritise work-life balance and meaningful contributions over economic output, the incentive to create and accept bullshit jobs will decline. Scandinavian countries are already leading this shift. So, are bullshit jobs inevitable? If businesses, governments, and individuals don't change their approach to work, then yes, they'll continue to exist. But with automation, work reforms, and a cultural shift, we could see a future where bullshit jobs become far less common.
While it may seem that bullshit jobs are inevitable, there are clear paths forward that could reduce or even eliminate them entirely. Advances in technology, particularly automation and AI, have the potential to make any redundant roles obsolete. These tools can handle repetitive, low-skill tasks, freeing up humans to focus on work that truly adds value. In addition to technological advancements, structural reforms like a 4-day work week or universal basic income can shift the focus from job quantity to job quality. By reducing the pressure to create unnecessary positions, businesses would be encouraged to invest in meaningful work that genuinely contributes to productivity and societal well-being.
Furthermore, a cultural shift is crucial. If we redefine success beyond job titles and long hours, and instead emphasise personal fulfillment and societal impact, the incentive to create or hold on to pointless roles would significantly diminish. While these changes may take time and face resistance, the possibility of a future with less pointless work is within reach. With the right reforms, we can move towards a world where work is not just about filling a position, but about making a meaningful, positive impact.
So, are bullshit jobs inevitable? We have seen how they emerged from historical shifts, expanded through bureaucracy, and persisted under economic pressure. We have also seen that they're not a given. They're the result of systems, structures, and choices. Technological advances like AI, social policies like universal basic income, and cultural changes around work all point to a future where bullshit jobs could become less common or even obsolete. But that future isn't automatic. It depends on what we value: efficiency or meaning, appearance or impact, stability or progress. Bullshit jobs feel inevitable only if we continue to accept them. If we choose differently, as individuals, institutions, and societies, they don't have to be. Thank you for watching.